Anthony Yarde's trainer says his fighter Anthony Yarde has a higher skill set than Andre Ward. Talking about the Kovalev fight. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chat channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, I just watched a very interesting interview. The link is in the description. It's with the Mayweather boxing channel. And it was Anthony Yarde's trainer, Tunde AJAYI, talking about his fighter. Basically, the talks are Yarde is the mandatory, Kovalev is the champion. The fight, it looks like they're negotiating, trying to find the location and get this cracking for this year. Good fight, light heavyweight. And most people are considering this a step up for Anthony Yarde. Kovalev, not so much. He's been in there with the Bernard Hopkins of the world. He's been in there with a leader Alvarez. Obviously, the 2 Andre Ward fights, 2 with Alvarez, Jean Pascal twice. So he has high quality experience. But the talk most people have is about Yarde. You know, he's the guy who had the lesser amateur background, to my knowledge. And as a pro, he hasn't fought. He's fought like domestic level. And talking to his trainer, I got to be honest, some of the stuff he's saying is making me want to see the fight, because to me, a lot of it, you know, I'm not saying it to be disrespectful, but it sounded delusional what he was saying to me, you know. Now, as far as Anthony Yarde, I like him. He looks the part, in shape. I've been following his career for quite some time. Like I've known about Anthony Yarde longer than a lot of Americans, you know, so I have no ill will or predetermined notions about him. But the link is in the description. You guys watch it and let me know what you guys think. I'll just kind of recap. I'm just going to paraphrase some of the stuff he was saying that, you know, he just missed me totally. Again, no offense to him. That's his opinion, but it was sounding insane what he was saying to me. For example, you know, before I start too, I got to give credit to the reporter. I didn't watch the full interview, but I got past the point where I'm talking about, you know, but I think it's like a 20-minute job. So I didn't watch the end, the very end, but I seen enough to see, like, you know, the beginning and the part where he's talking about Andre Ward, and I'll get to some of that. But shout out to the reporter. I'm not really sure who he is. They showed his name on the screen, but shout out to him, because, you know, sometimes in the UK, you know, you get the UK reporters and they're asking softball questions. I thought he had very informed, realistic questions. You know, it wasn't like he was attacking the trainer, but he was basically saying, would you agree that Anthony Yarde hasn't fought anyone with equal offensive elite skills like a Kovalev? He was saying, what about Anthony Yarde fighting in possibly Russia, you know, hostile territory? Does he have the minerals for that? Does he have the wherewithal? Because he hasn't really fought outside of the UK. You know, how would he react in a situation, since, you know, we can pretty much both agree that he hasn't faced anyone like Kovalev. And some of what Tunde was saying was just like, let's get into what he was saying. One thing that he said was, the question was about fighting in foreign territory, hostile territory, possibly Russia, because Main Events wants to do it in Russia, and that's where Kovalev's from, right? And it's a pretty straightforward question, and Tunde was saying things to the effect of, that's not really hostile, it's not hostile to us. And I'm trying to understand where he's going, and he says we fight on the road all the time, and he was basically trying to make the comparison of fighting in various spots in England to that being hostile territory. Like, oh yeah, if you go to East London or South London, and we're not from this part of England and we're fighting in this part of England, you know. And new media, gotta be honest, to me that's not anywhere the same, you know. That's like a California fighter fighting in the Bay Area where I'm at versus fighting in LA. You get what I'm saying? California's pretty big. There are two different regions, but that's not the same as a California fighter fighting in Russia. somewhere in a whole different section. Russia is not considered the UK, right? And I don't want to get into technicalities because some people consider it part of the parts of it in the USSR and so I don't want to get into it. But bottom line is right now the UK is considered separate from Russia, right? And that's a major difference. You got to talk about the judging, the refereeing. Russia has a huge population that comes out for the Russian stars when they fight at home. Even Povetkin, his crowds be thick. Kovalev, guys like this. So you're talking about mad crowds, real deep, rooting against your fighter in the biggest fight of his life. So far this point of his career, his big step up. So I don't really think you could compare that to fighting in like South London and East London and various parts of England, like Liverpool versus Sheffield or Manchester. I get it. Those are different parts and you may not be from them, but I don't think it's comparable to fighting. That's like fighting like an American fighter fighting Golovkin in Kazakhstan. I think that's a little bit different than, hey, I've traveled. I'm from Philly and I fought in New York. That's closer to what we're talking about, both in proximity and everything. If a fighter's from Philly when he's fighting, like Danny Garcia is fighting a New Yorker like Zab Judah. Yeah, okay, those are two different regions, but it's not the same as, Danny Garcia going to the UK to fight Amir Khan or something. Anyway, so that's one thing he said. He missed me with that. And then he started kind of talking about himself, about how different parts of England are rough and he knows hostile territories and he walks the streets with no strap, no knife, and he walks through hostile territories. Then he kind of tried to revert it back to Anthony Yarde. It was just weird, because we're talking about, like, it's almost like he took it as a challenge. Like, man, I've been through hostile territories too. It was just kind of weird. I don't think that's what people mean when in boxing when they're talking about hostile. They're just talking about the experience, a judge, a referee that might favor the hometown fighter, a crowd booing you when you walk out at the weigh-ins, and that's the hostility. But he made it sound like some like hoodlum stuff, like people walking down the streets with pipes and wrenches and bats and stuff and guns. That part I didn't understand. And he's like laughing through as he's saying some of the stuff. And the other thing is the Mayweather channel deleted the comments, or excuse me, let me take that back. They disabled the comments. They didn't delete, but in essence they kind of did delete, because I'm sure the comments were on and they were getting a lot of negative comments, and then they disabled it. Unless, I could be wrong. Maybe they had it disabled from the get-go. But, usually, why would you, who just upload that? I've never seen them to do that. I've never known them to, the Mayweather Boxing channel, to upload a video and off rip, the comments are disabled so no one can leave a comment. So I think overall it was probably getting a certain level of feedback. I mean, even if you look at the likes, it's like 60 something likes and 170 dislikes or something crazy like that. So I'm pretty sure that's why they disabled the comments and prevented people from leaving comments, so they couldn't put some of the nasty things and messages they were probably putting. But it gets more interesting because Anthony Yarde, his trainer, started talking about just different stuff. So basically, previously Tunde said that there's no way they're fighting in Russia. But then the recent report said, hey, they might have come around and Russia is looking like a serious candidate for him. Now through this interview, the trainer's talking about how they don't care where they fight and they're willing to fight in Russia. And it was like Tunde was trying to explain, saying that Anthony Yarde absolutely won't fight him in Russia. He tried to make it, the way I interpret it, he tried to make it as if he did that on purpose. Like he never had a problem with fighting in Russia. However, he just did that to raise the price of the fight, or, get people riled up. but it was never really an issue. But if you watch the initial interview, it doesn't seem like that. So it didn't really sound believable, to be honest. It sounded like he had apprehensions and he was hesitant to fight Kovalev in Russia. And then he got whatever feedback because people were like, yo, Kovalev's a champion. Your fighter's a challenger. You need to take this fight. You're the mandatory. You know, this is what you have to go through to be a champion. So he probably got bad feedback for that too. And then now he's kind of switching it up. Also, I heard Anthony Yarde. Russia. There's a lot of money in Russia. You know, they if you remember when Wilder was about to fight Alexander Povetkin, World of Boxing Rybinsky, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce his name. They were putting up like a 7 million pot for just Wilder. You know, he was gonna get a fat paycheck to fight over there. So that might be another reason why he's kind of coming around now, because I heard Anthony Yarde could get like $4.2 million or something real nice, a career high payday for this. So I don't know what it is, but now he's kind of trying to justify his earlier comments where he said under no conditions would they be fighting in Russia. And he even recommended fighting in the UK, and he was saying stuff like Anthony Yarde is the A side, which he also said in this interview. He says Anthony Yarde, it's kind of a weird interview, to be honest. You know, he said Anthony Yarde has speed, this and that, ring IQ. That's why I feel he's the A side. Other people may disagree, but I think he's the A side. But to me, that's not even how you become A side. Like ring IQ and footwork, those types of things don't really make you the A side. You know, A side is, for lack of a better phrase, a popularity contest. You know, how many asses you put in the seats, career high paydays, you know, how much attention your fights draw, the magnitude of the events. It's not really about ring generalship or ring IQ and, you know, the different metrics of scoring a fight. So he missed me with that comment. But perhaps one of the most shocking comments he was saying was, he says, and I quote, "We already know that Kovalev gasses out after 4 rounds. We already know that he can't take body shots." You know, and then he said something like Kovalev got hit with the right hook. Andre Ward can't punch like Anthony Yarde. So when he said that, I was like, all right, whatever. He's saying that Yarde punches harder, fine. But after he said Andre Ward can't punch like Anthony Yarde. This is where he totally lost me. He said Andre Ward does not have the skill set of Anthony Yarde. Now, the punching thing, that's whatever, because, you know, anyone can have punching power. That's just God gifted. So that part, I wasn't even tripping off of that, just because it's debatable. You could say whatever. Some guy hits harder, you know, because that's like Ruslan Provodnikov hits harder than, let's say, Danny Garcia. That don't mean he's a better fighter or a better boxer. You get what I'm saying? So I wasn't tripping off that. But then he says that Anthony Yarde has a higher skill set, basically. He says Andre Ward does not have the skill set of Anthony Yarde. Now that's highly debatable, because we have never seen this type of elite competition. So he's making it interesting, all right. And just watch the interview. It's about the 10-minute mark. You could fast forward or watch the whole thing or whatever. But it was a lot of like bold comments. He was basically making it sound like Kovalev, you know, is not on Anthony Yarde's level, and Yarde has a better skill set. It just sounded real delusional, real diluted kind of, you know. Anthony Yarde has a better skill set. I don't know. I can't think of, and I like Anthony Yarde, but I'm just saying I can't think of anything he's done as a pro that would, or amateur, that would qualify that statement. You know, Andre Ward is an Olympic gold medalist. He was undefeated as a pro for his whole career, and he beat Kovalev twice, second by knockout, beat Chad Dawson, a light heavyweight champ that came to 68, beat Edwin Rodriguez, who missed weight, beat the likes of like the Paul Smiths of the world, Carl Froch, Kessler, Sakio Bika when he was relevant, Edison Miranda, Darnell Boone, Alan Green. Anthony Yarde hasn't fought those level of people, so it's really kind of hard to suggest that. And then the reporter said something to the effect of, what about his chin? We haven't really seen it. How good is his chin? And then Tunde says, I'm not going to show you how good his chin is. And I get that, you know, he's basically saying he's not there to get hit. But even that is a little bit subjective, because it don't matter. Like, to me, Anthony Yarde, I've seen him get hit, you know, against domestic level foes. To me, he doesn't have a Pernell Whitaker or Mayweather level defense. And he gets hit. He's been hit with big shots. DeMarcus Corley, Zab Judah clipped him. Shane Mosley, obviously. Pacquiao, Maidana. So you can't fight a 12-round championship fight with elite level names and nobody touches you. You know, maybe in a particular fight, but him saying, oh, you'll never see his chin, that kind of missed me, because if you're fighting elite level fights, it's inevitable that your chin is not going to get tested. So, you know, you guys make of it what you want, but I think the comments are disabled for a particular reason. The interview was a little bit over the place. You know, this is good for promotion, because he's saying a lot of stuff and he's putting a lot of pressure on his fighter, but it's definitely making me want to see it. You know, I definitely want to see it with the way he's saying. But the way Kovalev looked in his last fight with Eliter Alvarez and Buddy McGurk, it's a difficult fight, especially if they fight in Russia. That's a real difficult fight, you know, and there's a lot of people that make the ill mistake, in my opinion, of going off of someone else's victory. You know, Anthony Yarde doesn't have the pro level experience of an Andre Ward, nor do they fight similarly, you know. So you can't really go off what he said. We know Kovalev gets tired, and we know he doesn't like body shots, and we know he's susceptible to the right. And then he even said a statement kind of like going at Ward a little bit. He said something to the effect of, Andre Ward says this is a tough fight, and Anthony Yarde's gonna have to walk through fire. And then Tunde responded, no, we ain't gotta walk through fire. You had to walk through fire. We're not gonna have to walk through fire. And I'm like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? So he's making it sound like Anthony Yarde's gonna go in there and just easily destroy Kovalev and not have to walk through fire or nothing. So, you know, sign me up. This fight has got to happen now. You know, I don't really care where it happens, but if it happens in Russia, then we'll see. You know, we'll see how it plays out. But these comments and the backpedaling with the we're not fighting in Russia and I don't know. Like I said, you can't just base your victory on what someone else did, because people have done that. You know, Juan Manuel Marquez knocked out Pacquiao. How many people thought they were going to reduplicate what Marquez did and haven't? It's not as easy. But like I said, maybe he knows something that we all don't know about Anthony Yarde. But when they fight, we're going to see. But Kovalev, I like the way he looked in his last fight. Boxed well. He definitely has power. You know, I don't think, you know, unless it ends early or something, I can't really imagine Kovalev not landing anything. So let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.